the Final Four most outstanding player odds. So the Final Four most outstanding player, that's like the MVP of the Final Four, essentially. And it doesn't take into account the first 4 games of the tournament. So what happens this weekend won't really matter. What happens next weekend won't matter either. It's just what happens in the national semifinal and the national championship, which is why we've had some pretty random winners for this award. I mean, I think back to that Villanova Jalen Brunson team where Jalen Brunson was the consensus national player of the year. And then here comes Dante DiVincenzo, who has an awesome Final Four and an awesome national title game. And Dante DiVincenzo ends up being Final Four MOP. But of course, on the other side, there's the whole David McCormick, Ochai Agbaji situation where, like, McCormick was clearly the most outstanding player, but I think they wrote down Agbaji after the first half against Villanova. I think that might have been the thing that happened with that whole voting there, but it can be a little bit wonky. It can be a little weird, but we do get random winners. Luke Hancock, another one that comes to mind for that Louisville team that won it back in 2013 with Rick Pitino. The favorite, though, in the market is Cooper Flagg, plus 370. Duke has the best path to getting to the Final Four. They're also the favorite to win the national title in comparison to Florida as well. So Flagg plus 370, your favorite. Janai Broome is plus 750. Walter Clayton is 8-1. After those guys, you have Milos Uzan of Houston at 20-1, and then LJ Cryer as well at 20-1, and on down the list we could go. PJ, when you look at this market, is there a long shot that you like? Because I don't think that Flagg right now is a bet to be made. I think you just bet Duke if you like Cooper Flagg, because there's not that big of a difference, and there's so many games that can be played, and why sweat out a vote when you can just bet his team to win the title if they're north of 3-1? But where would you go with your money in this Final Four MOP market?
So immediately what I looked at was LJ Cryer at 20-1. If you're a believer in Houston and you think they're going to win the national championship, I think that is a terrific bet. We know that Houston usually has like a lead guard that they lean on in the Sampson era, right? It's Quentin Grimes, it's Marcus Sasser, it's Jamal Shedd. Cryer's that guy this year, and he's been in that program a while. I was watching, I think it was Kansas and Houston. It was one of the Houston games, and one of the sideline reporters was talking about how when Houston early on in the season, they lost 3 games in the non-conference. They played one of those holiday tournaments out in Vegas. They lost 3 games. And they lost to Auburn like a week before, and then they lost to San Diego State, and they lost to Bama. And they were talking about how Kelvin Sampson sat down and talked to every player and coach on his staff. And when he was talking to LJ Cryer, he told him that he needed more out of him. Like, this team isn't going anywhere if he's not scoring more. So, and I believe that about Houston in the tournament. Like, they're going to go as far as LJ Cryer takes them. Sampson knows it. And Houston knows it. And when Cryer's at his best and he's scoring, they're tough to stop. And they obviously shoot the three-pointer really well. And, Uzan's a good player and Sharp's a good player as well. But Cryer's the guy. And especially if they get to the Final Four and if, they're going to beat a Duke or they're going to beat a Florida or an Auburn or whoever it is, it's got to be because Cryer has a big game. So for me, if you like Houston and you think they're winning it all, I think Cryer is an awesome bet at 20-1. That's immediately the first guy that jumped out.
Yeah, the way I'm handicapping this market, of course, is once again, you want to bet on a guy that's going to win the national title. You don't get to be most outstanding player on a losing team in the Final Four. And I think there's 3 teams that can win the national title. I think it's Duke, it's Auburn, it's Florida. Those are the 3 teams I believe can win the title. I'm kicking Houston out of that bucket because I don't trust the Houston Cougars. Duke, you can make the case for some other guys, but it's so hard to see someone other than Cooper Flagg because he's just such a great player, and he's just naturally going to just dominate the game because he's the best player in the country. Auburn, I think there's actually a case to be made to where someone like Chad Baker-Mazara could win it if he just got hot, or Todd Pettiford could win it if he got hot. Florida, though, is the one that I think is really fascinating because they're so balanced. Clayton, he probably gets the majority of the headlines as being the All-American guy, but Alex Condon's an NBA big. That's a guy where at 29-1, I don't think it's crazy if Alex Condon goes out there and shuts down Janai Broome in the national semifinal and then helps protect the rim against Duke. I think a narrative could be built for Alex Condon. So I would be looking at some of the secondary guys on Florida or Auburn. As much as I would like to bet a Tyrese Proctor at 65-1, I think they're just going to give it to Cooper Flagg just because he's the #1 overall pick this summer, and he's just been the best guy in college hoops. So it's hard for me to get someone on Duke's team that's not Cooper Flagg. But let's bring on our executive producers for today, Tyler Morales. Tyler, your MOP bet that you like when you look at this market, because I'm of the mindset it's Duke, Auburn, or Florida that wins it, but I think your list might even be smaller than that based on how our conversations earlier.
Yeah, so I'm only betting Duke to win the championship, but the one team I do think that could beat him is Florida. And I think you kind of said it. When I looked at the odds during the break for the first time, like, this bet stood out immediately to me. Elijah Martin, 36-1 to win most outstanding player. Like, the three-headed monster is Clayton, Richard, and Martin. Martin's already been to a Final Four with Florida Atlantic. He had 27 against San Diego State. He's their best impact defender in the perimeter. Like, Walter Clayton's great. Elijah Martin has experience there. He's their second leading scorer. I thought 36-1 stood out to me, like, immediately, because he can do multiple things, and he goes on heaters, and we've seen him do it in the tournament multiple times. So, like, I love Walter Clayton. He's great. Elijah Martin, 36-1. Like, that is, like, I was stunned when I saw that price. And I actually do agree with you a little bit with Chad Baker-Mazara. He kind of goes on, like, heat waves, and he's, like, 70-1. He's a huge price. Elijah Martin was, like, that's the bet, I think, out of Florida.
Yeah, Chad Baker-Mazara goes on heat waves with his game, with his temperament. Like, he's just, like, I think he's a psycho.
I think Pettiford too for Auburn. Like, he's got some flair to him, and they played Houston earlier in the year, and he took over that game. And usually, you know, the winner of that is a guard. And I think if they win the title, Pettiford's going to have a big game. So he would be worth a look, I think, if you're looking at Auburn.